Think about that one thing you're really striving for right now. That goal that keeps popping into your head. What's the engine that's actually going to get you there? Today, we're diving deep into Daniel Walter's The Power of Discipline to really understand that engine.
And this isn't just another pep talk about, wishing and hoping. Walter's work really cuts through the fluff. It looks at the nuts and bolts of discipline, how it functions, why it's so potent, and why it consistently outshines, well, just relying on talent or waiting for that lucky break.
Exactly. Our mission in this deep dive is to move beyond just a surface level idea of discipline. We want you, our listener, to grasp its essence and, maybe more importantly, to get some actionable insights on how to weave it into your daily life. Forget the unpredictable nature of motivation and chance. We're here to explore how discipline provides a reliable pathway to your aspirations.
Okay, so let's start with a core idea from Walter's argument. Discipline being more powerful, more dependable for success than, say, talent or luck. What's the thinking behind that?
Okay, let's unpack this. So, natural abilities, yeah, they can give you a head start, and a bit of good fortune is always nice, but neither are things you can really bank on consistently, right? Discipline, though, that's something you can actively cultivate. Walter uses this compelling analogy. Think of motivation like this exciting but, fleeting surge of energy. Discipline, on the other hand, is that unwavering, steady current. It keeps you moving forward even when that initial buzz fades.
That's a really key insight. Motivation is often tied to our emotions, which, well, we all know how much they fluctuate. What's compelling about Walter's view is how discipline is the mechanism to kind of navigate those ups and downs. It's the ability to stay committed to your actions, regardless of how you feel in the moment. And this connects to the fascinating neuroscience of habit formation, too. Repeated disciplined actions actually forge stronger neural pathways. It makes those actions easier over time, almost like a physical change reflecting that muscle idea.
And that brings us right to his concept of discipline as a muscle, something that gets stronger with use. It's not some fixed trait you're just born with. So tell us more about how we build this muscle.
Right. If we connect this to, habit formation and personal growth generally, this analogy really hits home. Walter basically argues that every conscious choice you make to be disciplined, like choosing to work on something tough instead of getting distracted, that's like doing a rep in the gym for your self-control.
So those first few reps, they're probably going to feel pretty challenging, maybe even uncomfortable.
Precisely. Yeah, just like starting a new workout routine, those initial efforts towards more discipline can feel hard. But as Walter really emphasizes, the more consistently you do this exercise of self-control, the stronger that muscle actually becomes. That internal resistance you feel at first, it gradually lessens. And disciplined behavior starts to feel less like this uphill battle and more like your natural way of operating. And what's really encouraging is Walter's point that this isn't some gift for a select few. It's a skill, plain and simple. Anyone can develop it with consistent practice.
Okay, so we get that discipline is this powerful, trainable thing. But how do we actually, build it in our lives? Walter puts a lot of emphasis on habits, doesn't he?
Absolutely. Walter sees habits as the fundamental building blocks for a disciplined life. What's really insightful is how he explains habits, basically automating our behavior. Think about it. Once a habit is deep-rooted, like your morning routine, you do it with minimal conscious thought. It doesn't drain your willpower. This automation frees up valuable mental energy for other things that need more focus.
Like that classic example, brushing your teeth. You don't wake up and have a big debate about whether it's worth it. It's just automatic.
Exactly. And Walter's advice is to strategically use this for your goals. Identify the core habits that will move you towards what you want, and then consciously practice them until they become just as automatic as brushing your teeth. He also wisely advises starting small, with manageable habits. You're not trying to overhaul your whole life overnight. Pick one or two key habits tied to your goals and focus on doing them consistently. These small, consistent wins build confidence and, crucially, they build momentum.
That makes a lot of sense. You wouldn't try to run a marathon without building up endurance first. Now, Walter also stresses how important clarity is in all this. Why is having a really clear idea of what you want so vital for discipline?
Yeah, this brings up a critical point about where you're directing your energy. Walter argues that vague goals are a huge obstacle to discipline. If you don't have a precise target, well, your efforts can get scattered, and your determination is much more likely to wobble when you hit roadblocks.
Right. So instead of just saying, I want to get in better shape, Walter would push for something much more specific, like,
Exactly. Instead of that vague wish, something concrete and measurable, like, I will do a 30-minute cardio workout 3 times a week.
hmm,
Or maybe, I will prep and pack a healthy lunch 5 days a week. This kind of specificity gives you a clear roadmap. It removes the ambiguity, and it makes it much easier to hold yourself accountable. You know exactly what you need to do, and it's harder to make excuses when you slip.
Clarity gives you that framework for accountability.
Got it. Okay, another key idea Walter gets into is delayed gratification. That definitely sounds like a big test of discipline.
Oh, it absolutely is. Walter sees the ability to pass up immediate pleasures for longer-term rewards as, like, a fundamental trait of a disciplined mind. Think about all the temptations we face every day, the urge to scroll social media instead of working, or grab junk food when you have fitness goals. This idea is really rooted in psychology research, too, like those famous marshmallow tests. They showed a strong link between delaying gratification as a kid and success later in life. It's a constant negotiation for a lot of us, I think, that little voice.
Right. And what's insightful about Walter's take is he reframes choosing delayed gratification. It's not deprivation. It's more like a strategic investment in your future self.
Yeah.
Every time you consciously choose the long-term benefit over the immediate impulse, you're not just moving toward your goal, you're actively strengthening that discipline muscle we talked about. It creates this positive feedback loop. Each time makes the next time a little easier.
So it gradually gets less difficult to make those harder choices.
That's the principle, yeah. Now, even with the best intentions and strong discipline, we all stumble. Setbacks happen. Walter acknowledges this is part of the process. What's his take on how disciplined people handle these inevitable failures? Walter's approach here is very pragmatic. It avoids that trap of trying to be perfect, which is impossible. He emphasizes that mistakes and failures aren't the exception. They're a natural part of any real journey. What sets disciplined people apart isn't avoiding mistakes altogether, but how they respond to them. According to Walter, the key is to avoid getting stuck in self-blame or dwelling on the slip-up too much.
So it's not about reaching some mythical state of being constantly perfect.
Not at all. Walter advises a quick objective look. Okay, what happened? Are there lessons here? And then most importantly, get back on track quickly. Resilience bouncing back is way more important in the long run than trying to dodge every mistake. A disciplined view sees setbacks as temporary detours, not reasons to just give up entirely.
That's a really helpful perspective. Okay, let's talk about something that can really sabotage even strong intentions. Decision fatigue. What does Walter say about this?
Walter brings up this well-known phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Our willpower, our mental energy for making disciplined choices, it isn't endless. It actually depletes through the day as we make decisions big and small. The depletion is decision fatigue.
Right.
And there's solid research in psychology backing this up. Making lots of choices can impair your self-control later on.
So as the day goes on, it gets harder and harder to resist that temptation or push through procrastination on something less fun?
Exactly. So to counter decision fatigue, Walter suggests a strategic approach. Tackle your most important, most mentally demanding tasks early in the day. That's when your mental energy reserves are usually highest. By scheduling those activities that need the most self-control for when you're freshest, you're basically working with your willpower, not against it. Then, tasks for later in the day, when you're naturally a bit lower on cognitive resources, can be the ones needing less intense focus. Putting those key tasks in the morning is a simple but really effective way to align with your energy cycles.
That sounds like a smart way to conserve that precious mental fuel. Another key area Walter talks about is the influence of our surroundings. How does our environment play into discipline?
Right. This is about proactively setting up your environment to help you, rather than accidentally making things harder. Walter argues that making disciplined choices is much easier when your immediate surroundings are deliberately set up to support your goals.
Can you give us some practical examples?
Sure. So if your goal is to eat healthier, Walter would say, get the unhealthy snacks out of sight off your desk, out of the pantry maybe. If you want exercise consistently, lay out your workout clothes the night before, or have your gym bag packed and ready by the door. By basically designing your environment to minimize temptation and reduce the friction for disciplining actions, you make the right choice, the easier choice. It removes those little hurdles and makes sticking to your goals simpler.
Makes perfect sense. Setting yourself up for success by design. Now, what about other people? Walter mentions the importance of accountability, right?
He does, yeah. Walter points out the powerful effect external accountability can have on strengthening your discipline. When you know others are aware of your goals and kind of expecting you to follow through, it creates this strong push.
It taps into that feeling of not wanting to let people down.
Exactly that. Sharing your goals with trusted friends or family, maybe joining a group with similar aims or finding a mentor or accountability partner. These things can really boost your commitment. It adds another layer of motivation beyond just your own internal drive. Knowing someone might check in or is counting on you can be a really effective tool for staying disciplined, especially when your own motivation dips.
Okay, this next one sounds interesting. Using visualization. How does just imagining success help build discipline?
Walter explains that vivid visualization isn't just, wishful thinking. It's a powerful technique for reinforcing discipline. By mentally rehearsing yourself successfully doing the steps towards your goal and really feeling the satisfaction of achieving it, you make that success feel more real and achievable to your brain.
So it's almost like a mental practice run.
Exactly. It helps prepare you mentally for the actions you need to take, and it strengthens your belief that you can succeed. For instance, if you're aiming for a promotion, regularly picturing yourself confidently presenting or leading a project can boost your drive. It makes the actual steps feel less intimidating. Regular positive visualization keeps your focus sharp and your determination strong, both vital for discipline.
Okay, now let's tackle that common enemy of discipline, procrastination. What specific advice does Walter give for beating it?
Walter suggests that procrastination often comes from a place of fear. Maybe fear of failure, fear of the unknown, or even sometimes a fear of success and the changes that might bring. To break procrastination's grip, Walter recommends breaking down those huge, overwhelming tasks into much smaller, more manageable steps.
So instead of being frozen by this giant mountain, you just focus on taking that very first tiny step.
Precisely. By making that first action seem less daunting, you lower the internal resistance to just getting started. Walter emphasizes that any action, no matter how small, is always better than doing nothing. And once you take that first step, you often start to build momentum, making it easier to keep going. It's about breaking through that initial inertia.
Makes perfect sense. Small, steady steps lead to big things. Now, Walter also talks about the huge impact of our internal dialogue, our self-talk. How does that influence our ability to be disciplined?
Oh, it's massive. The way we talk to ourselves inside our heads deeply affects our self-confidence and therefore our capacity for discipline. Negative self-talk, those critical inner voices saying we're not good enough or we'll probably fail, they can seriously erode motivation and willpower.
We've all got that inner critic. It can be really harsh sometimes.
Right. Walter stresses how important it is to become aware of this negative self-talk and consciously challenge it. He suggests actively replacing those self-defeating thoughts with positive affirmations, reminding yourself of past successes as proof you are capable, and
Okay.
generally fostering a more encouraging inner voice. Cultivating positive self-talk builds self-belief, which is just fundamental for sustained discipline.
So practicing self-compassion can actually make you more disciplined.
Absolutely. Building yourself up internally makes it much easier to push yourself externally when things get tough. Now, building on that positivity, Walter highlights celebrating even small wins. Why is acknowledging those minor achievements so important? Recognizing and celebrating those small victories, even if they seem tiny at first, reinforces the positive feelings linked to being disciplined. It gives you a sense of accomplishment and motivates you to keep going. Each small win helps build confidence and gradually shift the experience of discipline from feeling like a constant struggle to something more rewarding.
It's like giving your brain direct positive feedback. Good job, keep going.
Exactly. And Walter emphasizes the compounding effect of these small wins. Over time, those consistent small steps and celebrated successes add up to significant progress. It creates this positive cycle of action and reinforcement that fuels more discipline.
Now, to keep that momentum going and see how you're doing, Walter also recommends tracking your progress. Why is it helpful to actually see how far you've come?
Walter argues that visually tracking your progress, maybe keeping a journal, using a checklist, whatever method works for you provides really powerful, tangible motivation. Seeing concrete proof of your growth, even if it's incremental, reinforces those discipline habits. It keeps you engaged with your goals.
It's like watching the needle actually move forward.
Precisely. It also helps you spot patterns, like what's working well, where are the consistent challenges. This allows you to make adjustments to your approach as you go. Regularly reviewing your progress keeps you accountable and provides a visual reminder of the effort you've put in, making you less likely to want to throw it away.
Now, discipline can sometimes sound like this relentless, nonstop push. Does Walter talk about the need for rest and balance to maintain it long term?
Oh, absolutely. Walter's very clear. Discipline doesn't mean working constantly until you burn out. That's unsustainable. In fact, he stresses that proper rest and a balanced life are essential parts of sustained discipline. Ignoring these basic needs inevitably leads to burnout, which completely undermines your ability to be consistently disciplined.
So it's not about being some kind of unfeeling robot.
Not at all. Walter advises thinking of discipline like a marathon, not a sprint. Building in regular breaks, getting enough sleep, balancing focused work with leisure and recovery. These are crucial for maintaining energy and motivation over the long haul. It's about intelligent consistency, not just raw, unsustainable intensity.
That's a really crucial point to remember. Now, near the end of his book, Walter discusses how practicing discipline consistently can actually shape our sense of self. How does that change happen?
Walter explains that when you consistently act in a disciplined way, you gradually start to see yourself as a disciplined person. This shift in self-perception, though subtle, is incredibly powerful. It creates this reinforcing loop for those very behaviors. Your actions start to align with your internal identity, and vice versa.
It goes from being something you're actively trying to do to just being part of who you are.
Exactly. Walter suggests reinforcing this emerging identity through positive self-talk, affirmations, and by consistently making choices that fit that disciplined persona. The more you act like a disciplined person, the more deeply you internalize that identity, making future disciplined choices feel more natural, more authentic.
So basically, discipline breeds more discipline. It creates this positive upward spiral. Finally, Walter sums up the lasting benefits. It's not just about hitting specific goals, is it?
No, the impact goes way beyond just ticking off a list. Walter argues the real rewards include a deep sense of personal confidence, greater self-respect, and just a richer sense of fulfillment overall. By taking ownership of your actions and choices, you gain this profound sense of control over your life's path and your potential.
It sounds like it builds a real sense of personal empowerment.
Precisely. Walter's core message, really, is that discipline ultimately gives you more freedom. Freedom from self-doubt, freedom from procrastination's inertia, freedom from being ruled by impulses. It's the foundation for lasting success and real personal growth, empowering you to actively shape the life you want.
So to kind of wrap it all up, we've taken a deep dive into Daniel Walter's The Power of Discipline. We looked at his arguments on why discipline beats talent and luck, how it's like a muscle we can build through practice, the key roles of habits and clear goals, the importance of delayed gratification, and, well, a whole host of other vital pieces.
Yeah, we've explored how those seemingly small, consistent actions, combined with the right mindset and a supportive environment, can build this really strong foundation of discipline, a foundation that truly paves the way for lasting success and deep personal satisfaction.
So here's our final thought for you, our listener, to chew on. What is one specific, small, disciplined action you can commit to taking today? Something that will clearly move you closer to one of your important goals. Really think about how actively cultivating this muscle of discipline, even starting small, could fundamentally shift your path and open up possibilities you might not even see right now.